Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We're talking about why industrial firms should consider e-commerce for repeat buyers. And ultimately, all of our webinars really want you to walk away with some action items. So these are things that you can put into place today. And really what we're trying to always do is either drive more business, drive more leads, save money, generate higher tickets or repeat sales across the board. And so today we're really talking about how to save time, improve your customer experience, and drive repeat sales. So stick with this. I'll show you exactly how you can maximize and see double-digit growth in revenue just by implementing an e-commerce system for your repeat buyers. My name's Nate Stockard. I'm with Blue Atlas Marketing, president of Blue Atlas Marketing. We're coming on 15 years of serving B2B and industrial companies to help convert more requests for quote, to convert more sales, and ultimately grow the business. So let's get into what we're talking about today. So here's a few things that you might have been considering, but you really should look at is the hidden cost of traditional reorders. So the first thing is your customers are calling an email for every repeat order. Just having to pick up the phone and go through that process and deal with the phone call is already costing a lot of time of people. And then it starts to feed into several of these other issues. You got staff spending hours chasing paperwork. So they call in, somebody might be writing it down. Maybe you're doing computer entry, but ultimately there's a lot of things that can get lost in translation, that can get lost just in that order process. And number three, we see so many times that errors creep into the whole workflow. Wrong SKUs, wrong quantities, wrong addresses, those kind of things that, a client calls in and say, hey, yeah, I'm with so-and-so company. Yeah. What do you need? Oh, I need these things right here. Okay. But just that simple conversation to go, well, you know who I am. You know where a company is. You have my information in your system already. So usually it's a quick call, but that call can lead to errors creeping in with a lot of information that's incorrect. And then ultimately, when you start to see those errors or the wrong items get shipped out, and those things show up to your customers, they get frustrated and they start looking just for other people. And it's just a small, simple frustration sometimes. Sometimes this can lead to a very large frustration, but a lot of times, just even that small frustration really will drive a lot of customers to say, you know what? I'm just going to find somebody else. They'll see an ad where somebody says, easy order interface, something like that. And so they start to turn to go, let me find somebody different. And then as you look at all of these things, you don't really think about the hidden cost of the time that you've got to have somebody going through all of these manual steps and keeping up with it, the cost of wrong shipments, having to correct shipments, shipping costs that you're having to pay for extra because everything went out incorrectly. And, ultimately there's a lot of hidden cost here besides the fact that, like we talk about in number 4, where a customer just gets frustrated and then they move on. So the B2B buyer has changed. And we talk to a lot of people. We do a lot of presentations, a lot of things where we're talking to people and say, you do have to realize that the people that are placing orders are not the same people that you started working with originally. They're not the same handshake customers that you've been dealing with. And the buyers are changing. Even a lot of those old customers that you may have had that you used to do everything over phone or over lunch or something like that, they're even looking for opportunities to really talk less and eliminate a lot of people interaction and to do things faster and some self-servicing. Look, 70% of B2B buyers prefer self-service reordering. The initial orders, they want to know who they're ordering from. They'll submit an RFQ. You've got to go through the process. But once they know what they want and they have a consistent reorder, 70% of B2B buyers would rather use a self-service reorder platform. Buyers expect an Amazon-like convenience, even in industrial sectors and manufacturing sectors in the B2B world. Buyers are still expecting that. We all are using, Amazon, Walmart, and interfaces like that. We grow accustomed that why can't it just work simply? Why can't it just be easy? Why can't this stuff be stored? So buyers are expecting that self-service platform is actually very easy and convenient, similar to something they would experience with Amazon. Also, your competitors are offering portals and capturing repeat revenue. So, what we're talking about today, if you don't have it, your competitors do. And I guarantee if you look around and you ask around, hey, does my competitor so and so have a way for you to easily do a reorder? Most of the time, the answer is going to be yes. So you've got to be able to one, keep up with your competitors. But even if you do have very loyal customers, improve the customer experience for them because, as I said, 70% would rather just go through a self-service portal to do the reordering. Something new, they wanted to get in touch with somebody. They want to be able to walk through the process. But when it's the same thing, same order over and over, they would much rather be able to jump in, place the order, and it gets sent. Overall, the market is shifting. If you don't offer e-commerce, even industrial manufacturing, your competitors will, and you will lose customers. You will lose out on any competitive edge that you have because you're not offering updated technology. You're not offering updated options that people are looking for. As generations start to join companies and, maybe the father or mother founds a company and then the children come in. And now a lot of them, maybe it's the grandchildren that are coming in. These younger generations are going to expect technology to be at the forefront of the entire process. And that's what we were talking about today, of making sure that you have that same opportunity in your company. There's three big leaks that you are experiencing without a platform like this. One, you got wasted staff hours on order entry and the issues and things that can come with that. You're wasting a lot of money on somebody just sitting there taking orders. They can be working on more complicated orders, more quotes, more of the RFQs and things. Let your staff work where they're best suited at, not just taking orders. And then, unfortunately, the human error that comes into play creates cost and frustration. So it's costing you money. Every time you have to resend an order or you fix an order, that's costing you money. But then just the frustration is going to cost you in the long run because your customers saying, I just don't want to deal with this anymore. And then the third item is customers are easily going to slip away to vendors that have an easier system. When you make their life easier, they're going to try to find that solution. And so if you're not offering that, these three leaks are going to drain profits every month. And you may not be at a point where, hey, we're losing all our money because of these, but you are losing money that you could be keeping and making with a better platform in place. So let's talk about the industrial e-commerce playbook. And if you've seen some of our webinars, you're probably familiar with, we really try to narrow this down to just a few key steps. Now, there's more details in each of these, but these is something you can either walk away as a owner, say, all right, these are the things we need to do. You can hand this off to your staff, or maybe your current IT team or your current web development team. But if you're the one to implement these things, we really want to give you a quick framework to say, let's just simplify this, because you're going to have to get buy-in from everybody in your company, especially your leadership teams. And so the whole point here is to make it easy for you to walk through. These are the 4 steps that we're going to have to put into place. So the first thing is your portal setup. You've got to get the portal itself in place. You're going to have a tailored catalog for repeat buyers. Now, we're not saying you're taking all of your products, all of your services, and you're going to throw them in e-commerce and say, next, we're just going to sell it on Amazon. That's not what we're saying here. These are things, and we'll show you an example here in just a second. These are things that people repeat order very easily. These might be your standard products, your flagship products that people come to you and, they reorder the same. It's just a matter of how many they want, what color they want, ship it out to me. That's what this is for. But get that portal set up first. Then it starts to create an opportunity for your customers to do easy ordering. They can save past orders. They can do quick reorder. They have addresses saved. All of this information you can put into your portal, very similar to an Amazon experience, so that you give them the same experience they're looking for when they're using an e-commerce platform. And then that also feeds into automation. Your orders can flow right into your ERP, your CRM systems. You don't have the manual work, unless you want it to be, but you don't have the manual work of taking the order and getting it into your system and getting it ready to go. But you can build in moderation throughout the whole process that you want. So you can put people in the process as much as you want, but you can also automate as much of this as you want as well. And then ultimately, you're going to have a boost in loyalty because customer orders, they're more often, and a customer will order when it's simple. And so the more that it's easy for them, hey, we need some more of this, get this on the shelf, they'll go do it. When it's like, man, I got to get on the phone, I got to go through the process, they're going to send me an email, I got to verify it, then I can place the order. A lot of times that's going to get put off. Now, they might run out of product, they might run out of what they need from you, but the putting it off, it just happens. That's how we work. We got other things that are pressing today. That's not an issue. Tomorrow I'll handle it. Well, tomorrow keeps going. And ultimately your customers would actually be ordering more if they had an easier interface. And so this is really going to help you in a lot of ways. And this is how you turn reorders into recurring predictable revenue as well. Because with a portal, you actually have reporting in place that when you say, well, what kind of revenue are we going to get on this product? Well, most of that runs through our e-commerce platform. Let's pull reports on that. You know when that revenue is coming in. If you're looking for funding, selling, all kinds of things, valuation of your company, this kind of data is going to give you a ton of information on things that are repeating and recurring, and you have data to prove it. Versus your just overall sales number. Well, was it a big order, or do we have a bunch of large clients say this past year? You can actually show provable recurring revenue that happens through your portal. So it's another great benefit of having something like this in place for those consistent recurring orders that for a lot of our clients, that's the main core of their business, is the recurring pieces, constantly developing new products and new things like that. But if you're not a completely custom manufacturer or industrial or B2B company, if you have recurring things, people are going to go through and make and place those orders. That's where a lot of your revenue comes from. So this is really going to focus on a bulk of your current and consistent revenue. So let's talk about what it looks like day to day. Thing is, you need simple, repeatable, automated systems. And ultimately, that's going to be the future of B2B sales. But the more that you have a simple, repeatable system for your customers to be able to purchase the things that they need easily, the better this is going to work for you. And you're going to be right there in line with the growth of your competitors and the industry as a whole. So let's look at an example here. First, we'll talk about a little bit of, every company has hidden opportunities to save time and capture more repeat revenue. The only way to know is, if you've got that, a diagnostic. But let me take you through this example real quick. There we go. Let me take you through. This is a platform that we've been working on and get ready to roll out. And I'm going to take you through it from a client and a customer's perspective. And there's a lot more information and a lot more details in the back end of this system for admins. But when somebody logs in, and I had been previously logged in, when somebody logs in, the first thing you're going to see is any kind of a big banner here. This could be a promo banner and things like that. This particular one, we only have 3 products, but these are products that get reordered quite a bit. So I'm going to go into one of the products here. And you can see you get to a kind of a similar Amazon feel that happens when you go into here. I've got my size choices. So I'm going to say I want a medium. I'm going to go with the white. I'm going to do 10 cases. And I know most of the time, if you want full product information, you can go to it. But most of the time, this is purely just for the interface of being able to put this information in and add to cart and send it on its way. So I'm going to add it to cart. And after having it added to cart, it's now in my cart system. I can go find other products, but I can go into my cart. I've got a cart over here that shows on the side, showing, that I've got some items in here. I can pull this out anytime. And so, it started to work. Like I said, pretty much just like an Amazon kind of interface. And then you can go through the whole process here, proceed to checkout. If there's shipping information, things like that you'd want to put in place. And then so as you go through, it has all of my billing information, shipping information, and all that can, because we do have, addresses and everything, and all of these things can be customized, but it's really a very quick and easy process. I hit place order. This goes right into the system for this company. And so, ultimately it's a very easy interface. It's a very simple interface, but this is going to create so much recurring revenue and consistent revenue. And we're going to decrease those costs of staff having to take manual orders. And we're going to decrease the cost of errors and just, things that can go wrong. The client gets to pick exactly what they're looking for. And if they go through this interface and the client say, no, that's not what I meant to order. If somebody's taking an order over the phone, it's hard to say, well, no, I know my staff took the right order. With this, they put in in place what they chose and they added to cart and then they checked out. So you do get to pass a little bit of that responsibility of, did you order the right thing? So you're cutting down on fixing orders, and you're also cutting down in errors that the client makes. Like, oh no, I thought I wanted that. If they said it over the phone, they would go, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. When you're using e-commerce interface like this, your client has to make those choices, so they're making the right choices and can confirm that. So I highly recommend implementing an interface like this. So as I was saying, where can e-commerce like kind of unlock growth for you? The biggest place to start is really running a diagnostic. We start with a lot of clients and say, well, everything makes sense. I know this will work for us, but I really don't know where to start. Like, what is our first step? And ultimately, the best way to do that is to actually start with a revenue and ROI blueprint. We've got a paid audit here. And for the e-commerce paid audit, this is actually a smaller discount for a lot of our full audits. We're going to do a full e-commerce opportunity analysis. We're going to the ROI forecast for reducing manual ordering. So you'll have an entire forecast. Like, all right, what am I going to do? And what kind of money is that going to return? We're going to give you a full ROI forecast piece for that. And the integration roadmap. What is it going to take to do this? What are your platforms that you already have? What's your accounting system? What's your shipping systems, your ERPs, all of that. And we're going to put an integration roadmap together for that. And if you move forward into one of our growth systems and you can actually take this fee and put it towards that. So once you put this in action, say, all right, the roadmap, the whole blueprint makes sense. I think we're going to move forward with this with Blue Atlas. We'll actually credit any of those costs from the audits into the system that you move forward with. Now, I do have a lot of people that will tell me, hey, I'm not ready for a full diagnostic. I jumped on this webinar with you guys, but I'm not sure yet. Can we do something, quick and easy? Yes, we can actually start with a quick 15-minute free audit, just so you kind of get an idea. It's a 15-minute check on your current sales process. You're going to take away at least one actionable improvement that reduces friction and can make things easier, just so that you know that our team understands your process. And so as we make those recommendations and the bigger audit, you know what kind of things we're going to be looking for and what we can help you find. And it also will show you if that full blueprint makes sense. There are instances, say, where we go through and say, hey, I don't think e-commerce is the right fit for you here. This is not going to really work. So let's not go with a full audit at this point, but let's consider some other things now that we know a little bit more about your sales process. So ultimately, we do have the free audit as an option, the very first step. So you get an idea of how we work before jumping into that full-blown audit. So if you're interested in booking your spot today, the thing is, don't waste time. Don't waste more staff time. Don't risk losing repeat buyers. Let's get started today. Book an audit. We only do 10 of the full audits a month because it requires our full staff and requires a lot of time and hours to put into that. And so we only have so much time allotted for the audits. So we do highly recommend, if it's something you want to do, that you feel you get your spot sooner than later, because each month we do cut that off at 10 and the new slots don't open up until the following month. The free spots are also limited because we can only spend so much time on that as well. But if you're interested in that, you can go into the chat, leave us a message if you're watching the replay here, and just say, hey, I'm interested in booking that free audit, or I want to go ahead and I want to do that full audit. And so if you're here on the webinar, I'm going to actually publish this over here for you for the offer. You can click and go straight into that offer on the interface, and in the replay, you can just click that link and you get right over into our full audit. That's going to help you understand how this e-commerce can really elevate your recurring revenue, build brand loyalty, and save a lot of cost and a lot of time. You're going to alleviate so many frustrations and headaches that your staff has now, taking phone calls, taking orders over the phone, when it could easily be done through an e-commerce platform. So thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in further webinars that we have, you can visit us online at blueatlasmarketing.com/webinars. You can sign up for any of our webinars. After the webinars, you'll get an email with the replay link, so you can watch it again or watch it later, show it to other staff. So I highly encourage you to look at signing up for some of these other webinars, blueatlasmarketing.com/webinars, and we'll see you on the next one.